Hello and welcome back to the Johnny Lawrence podcast. I want to start by saying that I was a bit nervous about last week's podcast episode where I talked a little bit about my insights that I discovered from 5 years of sobriety. And the reason I was nervous was because I didn't mention it in the episode, but that week I wasn't myself. I had been to a childhood friend's funeral on the Monday. Someone I hadn't seen for a very long time. And truth be told, it was a beautiful thing. But watching the family members speak, especially the son, was very, very difficult for me. Seeing photographs of him as I remember him as a child was really tough. I saw some old faces too. Some were doing okay, some wasn't. And to be honest, the whole experience just left me feeling not myself for the whole week. But work needs to be done. The podcast needed to go out and I made it anyway. It's had some great feedback and I'm really grateful for that feedback. But when I listened to it back, I felt like I really didn't sound myself. I sounded a bit solemn. So that was why. I pushed on through it, but it was a tough week. It really was. That impacted me physically and mentally. Grief's a funny thing. It shows up in different ways at different times. It's unpredictable and lawless. And grief is often about regrets. It's often about regrets. Wish I'd seen that person more. Wish I'd been there for this. Didn't know about that. All of those things come up at funerals and it was tough. Seeing old friends, like I say, some doing better than others, realizing that I'm making the same mistake with them perhaps. So it was a very thought-provoking experience. It impacted me physically and mentally. I had to drive a 6-hour journey there and a 6-hour journey back. Drove up on the Sunday, drove back on the Monday. My wife was with me, my ride or die. I appreciate her always. In some ways, it was a very lovely thing. Saw some friends, like I say, but in other ways, it was very, very difficult. So that's it. My explanation for last week. I'm sure it didn't bother anybody, but it bothered me. So I thought I'd mention it. But this week, we are going a little bit more lighthearted. I thought, because there's this thing, right, that I see a lot in my clients and experienced within myself. This podcast is about human behavior, self-leadership, emotions, and whatever else it gets thrown in my brain on a Wednesday random morning after too much coffee. But today we're going to be diving into a topic that I'm pretty confident that we've all avoided at times. It's controversial, it's rebellious, it's staring. We're going to talk about doing absolutely nothing, absolutely sweet FA. Because doing nothing is harder than it sounds. For example, last week when I got back from the funeral, on the Tuesday, that's when I planned to do the recording. But I didn't do it on Tuesday. I tried to do it all day and it didn't work. I just wasn't feeling it. Things weren't going right. And I was actually starting to feel quite low. Felt like I was just failing all day. And the truth of it is, it's because after 12 hours of driving and a funeral and having to socialize more than I ever would, I was pretty burned out. I was pretty burned out. And actually what I needed was to do nothing. I needed to chill out and just chill, maybe sleep in a little bit, maybe sit around the house doing nothing, reading, listening to podcasts, I don't know, whatever, but doing nothing. And even that, reading and see, this is what I mean, like doing nothing, just sitting and chilling. And it's like, well, what's the point of that? Like, but why not? And this is the thing, we sort of have this internal battle with ourselves. When I say nothing, it's not nothing like pretending to be busy at work. I mean, actually doing nothing, proper, intentional, guilt-free nothing. Sitting there with a cup of tea, just looking out the window, whatever. And before you say, Johnny, I can't just sit still. That's ridiculous. I've got things to do. Let's be honest. Half the things you do are things you invented to avoid being alone with your own thoughts. Oops, it's awkward. It's true though. Why is it so hard to do nothing? Why is it so hard to sit there and do nothing? All of a sudden you start thinking and one thing leads to another and you're thinking about things that make you feel uncomfortable, make you feel difficult or challenging emotions, and you then decide to distract yourself by doing something. It's interesting to me. It's really fascinating to me, hence me making a podcast about it. It's really interesting to me and I wonder whether it should be interesting for you too. I'll start by asking, have you ever tried doing nothing? Because that Tuesday I did. I thought, right, I'm going to be zen. I'm going to be one with the universe. I'm going to relax. And I lasted about 45 seconds before my brain went, hey mate, remember that email that you didn't reply to? That bill that you didn't pay? Or that argument you had with Steve in year 8? Let's think about that instead. Let's do that. And my brain is basically that one annoying friend who brings up embarrassing stuff at the worst possible moment. That's what my brain is. It doesn't want me to sit still. It doesn't want me to sit alone with my thoughts. It doesn't want me to be alone and to sit in stillness and to do nothing. And since when has doing nothing been seen as lazy? Surely we cannot be doing something all of the time. That doesn't make sense. Watch animals. They'll sit whenever they get the opportunity. Because here's the thing. Life throws busy periods at us. Life throws not so busy periods at us. And in those busy periods, we wish for some stillness. We wish we just had time just to sit, right? But yet when we get those opportunities, we don't take like them. And I think part of that is this productivity culture, this hustle culture. Somewhere along the way, resting became a personality flaw. Something that can be judged, something where you start all of a sudden calling yourself names like lazy or pathetic or unmotivated. Because if you're not grinding 24/7, you're failing, right? You've got these people online who brag about their sleep deprivation like it's an Olympic sport. And they're like, yeah, bro, I slept like 4 hours last night. Cool. So you're slowly dying. Great, amazing, inspirational. And don't get me started on the people who swear by the 5 a.m. club. Listen, if you naturally wake up at 5 a.m., fantastic. Go with it. Lucky you. But for some, waking up at 5 a.m. means they need 3 coffees and probably a support group. You see, we confuse motion with progress. But think of it like this. Running on a treadmill feels like productivity. You're still in the same place, which is also how people do self-development. Lots of movement, very little direction. So let's take a reflection moment. When was the last time you felt actually rested? I've had clients say to me that they wake up in the morning feeling tired. I would hope that that would be an alarm bell and that you would look into that you're stressed, and when your partner asks you to take the bin out, you go absolutely mental. Or you ask your partner to book you an appointment and they go absolutely mental. And it's not that action. It's the fact that it's stacked on top of loads of things that you think you should be doing, and that you're not giving yourself any time to just sit and just chill and let the dust settle a little bit. So I ask you again, when was the last time you felt actually rested? And I mean, not fall asleep watching Netflix. I mean, actually rested. If you can't remember, then that's exactly why we're here today, to look at that. So I wonder, is there a science to stillness? Well, here's a secret. Your brain loves doing nothing, actually loves it. There's a network in your mind called the default mode network, which basically turns on when you stop forcing yourself to be productive. That's when creativity, insight, and clarity actually show up. It's the same magical space where you suddenly remember weird things like, I had a dentist appointment 3 months ago, or did I leave the oven on? Or wait, am I a good person? Stuff like that, you know? See, think about it. Einstein literally daydreamed his way to the theory of relativity. Newton sat under a tree and discovered gravity. Meanwhile, most of us can't make it for a 10-second Instagram ad without checking if somebody's viewed their story. We've turned our phones into emotional support animals. Leave it in the other room, and suddenly your house feels like it's haunted. It's incredible. The other day, or not so long ago, I was watching a TV show with my wife and the adverts came on. And she went to the loo and I picked up my phone and I started scrolling on social media, even though I told myself I'm going to put it in my office at night. I didn't. I had it in my hand. Or I had it next to me. So I picked it up and I was scrolling and she came back in. She started scrolling. And then before you know it, we realized that we'd missed a few minutes of the episode that started after the adverts again. So I rewound it. I did it again. I actually rewound it, but I rewound it a little bit too far into the adverts and then thought, oh, it's okay. It's coming on in 1 second, and picked up my phone. I didn't even realize I was doing it. So twice in the course of a few minutes, I picked up my phone. It's a habit. And it's so interesting. Like tonight, try this as an exercise. Put your phone in the other room or upstairs or somewhere that's out of reach and just note to yourself how many times you reach for it. Just note to yourself and then ask yourself after the whole experience, how do you feel about that? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with the fact that this thing seems to call you and seems to draw you towards it? Are you okay with it? If you are, cool. You do you. But I just find that really interesting. You see, because lots of times people come to me and the first thing they say is, Johnny, I just feel stuck. But you see, clarity comes from stillness. It doesn't come from doing. It doesn't come from reading books, listening to podcasts, speaking on the phone with your friends, going out and doing this, going out and doing that. It doesn't generally come from that. It comes from the stillness, being able to hear yourself think. And the best analogy I can use for it is, if you see a pond, it's nice and clear and you can see the bottom. And when you throw a stone in it, there's ripples and the water waves and ripples away and you can't see the bottom. It's no longer got clarity. It's all ripply. And it's only when those ripples dissipate and the water goes still again that you get clarity enough to be able to see what's in the water. And that's a bit like us. We need stillness. We need to instigate stillness. Now, I'm not saying you need to be some sort of Buddhist monk and sit outside on a high place and contemplate life. I'm just saying that we need to create these moments of intentional stillness within our day. So what are the things that I've observed about myself and other people, things that they've reported to me? How do we master doing nothing? It's a good question. And I'm not sure you can master anything as such, but let's get practical. Welcome to Johnny's official guide to doing absolutely nothing, but doing it brilliantly. That's quite a long title. We need to work on that. The first one is this. Put your phone away. Just put it away. Not on your lap, not face down on the table, completely away, in another room away, preferably behind a locked door with a guard dog and a high-tech alarm system with lasers. Just put it in another room, put it somewhere far away. You'll survive. I promise you that. No one's discovered a new planet since the last time you checked Instagram. You'll be okay. So try that. Just try putting your phone away and seeing how it feels. Just observe yourself. Don't get judgy. Don't get angry. Just see what happens. See how it feels. See if there are things about you not having your phone that you're not okay with, and go from there. Next one, it's going to sound a bit wishy-washy, but honestly, it can be a game changer. Sit somewhere and just breathe. If your brain starts screaming, this is a waste of time, congratulations. That is the trauma of capitalism leaving your body. It's crazy, it's nuts that I'm asking somebody to sit still somewhere and breathe. A really good example of this, I used to do this a lot more, but we used to have quite stressful school drop-offs with the kids. And then I'd have to come home and go into meetings. And I would sit in my car when I got on the driveway, and I would just close my eyes and I would just breathe. I wouldn't breathe in any certain way. I would just breathe and just let all of the emotions and all of the experiences from doing the school drop off just slide away a little bit. Because otherwise what I found I did is I'd take the energy and the mood from the last encounter into the next one. And then I would feel like I'm having a terrible day and it would snowball and get out of control. So just sitting somewhere and breathing, especially between transitions, when you're going from one type of thing like work to family life. Because you go from work where you've had somebody nagging you all day and making you do things or whatever, or you've had lots of jobs to do, to going home and the bin needs taken out and the washing up needs doing and the dogs need feeding, the dogs need walking, blah, blah, blah. All of these life admin jobs that we need to do. And if we're not careful, we take out the stress from work out on the people at home. And that's not good, is it? Number 3, watch your thoughts like they are a weird TV show. They'll pop up like unwelcome visitors. Here's the trick. Don't fight them. Don't tell yourself that you should or you shouldn't. Don't tell yourself it's good or bad. Don't tell yourself anything. Don't fight them. Just observe them like you're watching a nature documentary. Ah, yes, the rare why did I say that in 2014 thought. Fascinating. You think about that cringe moment, that thing you did ages ago, which has had really no consequence, but you just wish it didn't happen. All that comes up, all of it. It's mad. But you got to watch it like a weird TV show, right? Non-judgmental. Have fun with it. I can't tell you the gift in not being horrible to yourself, not judging yourself, and just laughing along with how ridiculous life is, because I suspect when you get to the end of your life, a lot of the stuff that you worried about probably won't matter or won't seem that important. Number 4, schedule nothing time. Actually schedule it. Like everything else in your life, put it in your phone, put it in your calendar. Call it something fancy like, I don't know, strategic emptiness or cognitive defragmentation session. Sounds really fancy, right? And if you've got colleagues that have got access to your diary, they won't question it. They'll just think you're doing something really important. Winning. So schedule it. It's really important. It's interesting how much we prioritize and take seriously the things that are in our phone diaries or our normal diaries, whichever we use. Very interesting, because what it starts to mean in that moment is that you're taking it seriously and that actually doing nothing is important and it needs protecting, because actually it begins to frame the way you see the days after that, whether or not you feel rested after a weekend, whether or not you've just had a chaotic weekend and going back to work feels like a rest. So what's the point of all of this? Why are we having this conversation? Well, here's the truth. Doing nothing isn't laziness. It's leadership. It is a form of self-leadership. When you're constantly doing something, working, scrolling, rushing around, you're reacting to life. You become this reactive person, and when anyone puts anything else on you, no matter how big or small, it feels like the straw that breaks the camel's back and you explode. And now, not only have you still got all the stuff that was going on in your head, you've now got this situation with the person that you exploded at that you've got to resolve to. So it's about leadership. It's about giving yourself the respect to rest, because when you rest, that's when you can respond. People say all the time, oh, you should respond instead of react. Pretty sure that can cause quite a reaction, because it's like, if you could do that, you would, right? So rest, because that allows you to respond. It gives you the headspace, the calmness, the stillness, the ability to respond. That's the difference between survival and self-leadership. Your best ideas don't come when you're stressed. They come when you're calm. Your emotional clarity doesn't show up on your to-do list. It shows up in the quiet. Now, like I said before, I'm not saying that you need to become some Buddhist monk or anything like that. I'm saying give yourself tiny pockets of genuine peace. Give it to yourself. Don't wait for it to turn up. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission. Give it to yourself. Give yourself tiny pockets of genuine peace. Because in the silence, that's where your potential shows up. That's where your truth shows up. And sometimes, for the first time in a long time, you get to show up. And that's important. So, all right, challenge of the week. There are 10,000 10,080 minutes in a week. And I'm going to ask you to do this. Remember this, 10,080 minutes in a week. And I'm going to ask you to spend 10 minutes, just 10, doing absolutely nothing. 10 minutes out of 10,080 minutes. Doesn't sound like a lot. And when you do that, let's make a little pact now. No phone, no scrolling, no podcast, music, none of that. Just you. If you manage it, you've taken one massive step towards actual self-leadership. And if you don't manage it, just rename your scrolling session Digital Meditation and pretend that was the plan all along. I hope this has been helpful. After last week, I wanted to do something a bit more lighthearted, but as much as it is lighthearted, it's also very important. And you will realize that when you try to do it. Just 10 minutes and see what happens. As always, I want to point you towards the self-made course, but if you're curious and you're not sure what it's all about, there is a free download. There's a life audit. That's a link in the description. Go and download that. It asks you 12 very poignant questions that get you started and get you to understand what we're trying to do here with the self-made course. It's one of those things, right? I wish that you could do the course for free so that you could know how good it is. Then you would pay for it. If that makes sense, because you can't know what you don't know, but the people that are doing the course are absolutely loving it. They're going back to certain sections of it. The rocking chair test, they love that. They go back to it. The wheel of life, they go back to that every 3 months. Some of the acronyms and different ways of analyzing your life, some of the questions they re-answer and it changes. It's just the whole thing is just really something I'm proud of. And it's recorded in a way in which it feels like you just sat in the living room having coffee with me and we're just chatting and we're discovering certain things. It's thought-provoking. It's in very small little sections as well, so like 5 to 10 minute sections so that you can do that every day. It's just like spending 5 minutes every day just contemplating a few things, writing down some stuff. Comes with a big old workbook as well, full of loads of different things that I talk about within the course. So it's all there and it's waiting for you. And with the new year coming up and Christmas and all of those different things, opportunity is beckoning. Thank you for listening. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who desperately needs to be told to sit down and relax. I would share it with my wife, but I'm pretty confident she's sick of my voice. So there's that. So thank you for listening and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Johnny Lawrence Podcast.